after 80 million years in the making, after 60 million years of waiting, we finally have gotten a proper look at the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Took them long enough. There was a lot to talk about here, so in today's video I'm going to be talking mostly about the trailer itself. I won't really be delving into theories or even the stuff that was said before and after the trailer by the team behind it. I'm just going to stick to looking at the trailer, pointing out bits and pieces I find interesting, and yeah, that's about it. Let's go do that. The trailer begins with Bowser's Castle lava pool thingy floating ominously towards a city we haven't seen before in the games. It seems to be in the middle of a snowy area and has some nice good old Aurora Borealis above it. Said floating landmass has Bowser's face on it, something that is very common throughout many of the Mario games. Another shot of the city, this time a lot closer, and yeah, it looks really nice. That's one thing you'll see throughout this whole trailer, is that the level of detail here is, well, insane, to be honest, especially for an Illumination film. Right, though this 100% isn't, I would like to imagine that the spiky balls here reference to Paper Mario 64's iteration of Bowser's Castle. Once again, it's definitely not, but I'm gonna pretend it is. One minor detail I like here is how Bowser's face thing kind of goes through the ground, making it look like he's biting into it. Probably isn't intentional, but I think it looks cool, so that's something. First, proper look at some of the characters here, and they have not done too bad a job. I think the Koopas look really good, and I like how there's a variety of heights and sizes and all. They could have very easily just copy and pasted the exact same model billions of times, but hey, instead we're getting a couple of models. At the very front we can see two Power Koopas, meaning that yes, there are going to be different species of the, well, various species of the Mushroom Kingdom, I guess. The main man of this shot, Kamek, does not look half bad here. The design itself is really good, as it makes him look like he's an actual Koopa alongside the rest of them. Well, I mean, he already did by the face, but now you can also see that he's got a very distinct shell kind of shape at the back of him. The animation form is also quite good. Another very likely unintentional callback is the spears that do quite remind me of the Koopa Trolls from Paper Mario. Once again, yeah, that it isn't. It's not at all that, they're just spears. But once again, it kind of vaguely looks similar to the little spike they have on their heads. Some of the Koopas are holding flags and we can very clearly see Bowser's symbol on them. So, hey, that's something. Speaking of Bowser, the man himself, and can I just say, they did a fantastic job on him. Really good introduction to him as well, with the whole fire surrounding him. It really reminds me of that one scene in the Smash Bros. Melee? Yeah, Smash Bros. Melee opening. Except not bad looking. The zoom out shot here really helps kind of give you a scale on A, how big Bowser's army is, and B, just how intimidating he is, where even when you're zoomed out that far, you can still very much see him, and he's still a decent size. We cut to a close-up shot of Bowser's army, and yeah, they look really good up close too. Well done. Now, one very interesting thing to note here is the fact that two of the Koopas, the one behind the weird eye patch one and the one beside him, look afraid of Bowser. Why is he afraid of Bowser? I mean, yes, he's intimidating, but like, you'd think after a couple of times being with the guy, you wouldn't be as afraid. Which means that this very well could be the first time that Bowser's army has ever been assembled. As kind of seen later on in the trailer, this film definitely seems to be going for a origin story kind of thing. So it wouldn't be all too odd if this was also the first time Bowser started doing evil stuff. The eye patch Koopa is quite interesting to me here, because why does he have an eye patch? Has he been in fights before? Is this his first one? He just wanted to look cool? Is it that every single Koopa of this specific rank, which we can tell is a different one to the one, say, beside him because of the spiked shoulder pads? I don't know. I don't think the eye patch would be part of the rank. You know, it just seems kind of weird for everybody to have to go to Home Depot and buy a Halloween costume of some kind to fit into the army, but I mean, Bowser's a weird guy. Good work. They could also just be their own exclusive type of Koopa. Like, there's not a whole rank of them. They're the only one. I don't see two of them at the same time in any point of the trailer, so that is definitely a possibility. Though also I'm blind, so Penguins? Yeah, this is cool. I'm really glad to see them taking species outside of the main New Super Mario Bros. Ones and putting them in, even if the penguins are one of the most memorable parts of Mario 64 due to the child neglect. Speaking of child neglect, where are the big ones? Like, isn't there supposed to be the big one that then beats you up for dropping child off the cliff? I know. Maybe they just haven't grown to that age yet, or something like that. I do quite like the king's voice. It's got the regal kind of tone that fits it well as also being a complete opposite to what you'd expect to hear coming from a penguin. Okay, I have to admit that was a pretty decent joke. A good old swatchy babed. Right, there's a few things to unpack here. First of all being the eye patch dude who, like Patchy the Pirate, has no reason to wear the eye patch. Which makes it seem more like that, yeah, maybe just wears it for the funny, or has to due to a uniform code. We can see another red Koopa, this one being different to the funny eye patch one, as instead of having the proper shoulder pad spiked things, it's literally just a red shell and red helmet. I don't know what the difference is, but they appear to also be holding a spear, so it could just be differing colors, because that's how it works. Secondly is a little spin the spear does. It's not a major thing or something that points towards the story, I just like the attention to detail. Oh yeah, another thing which I've somehow only noticed now in editing, despite the fact that I not only looked at clips during the recording of the audio, but also during the script writing, is the fact that the dude at the very front is another different color of Koopa. Yeah, how did I miss that? This one is blue flavored. This really doesn't show anything, but hey, I can't really remember the last time I saw a blue Koopa. I think it was like, what, New Super Mario Bros. I guess, but Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story for the Nintendo DS is a more enjoyable thing for me. Therefore, that's what they're referencing.
That is but a taste of our fury. Do you yield? I do not.
Alright, well done Illumination, you've made Bowser actually threatening again. Now, while he has definitely been in a couple points in the past threatening, like, say, Bowser's Fury, a lot of the times he is kind of subjected to a joke, or not nearly as threatening as he can be. Also, I swear they use mocap or something here, because Bowser's face moves exactly like how Jack of the Blacks would. Seriously, the eyebrows and the mouth and the slight movements of the head are identical to how he would say it. Okay, something very important to note here, other than the spectacular effects, is the background. Notice how the king is already captured, only to then be also thrown by the magic. It's very common in movie trailers for them to cut bits out and move them about and put it in this order and that order, but that still begs the question, who is Kamek performing magic at? If it's not the king and his army, why he doing it? More than likely, it's probably not Mario, unless Bowser went to grab the ultra-powerful Ultra Star of Power after kidnapping Peach, which would be an incredibly stupid move. What is it then? I dunno, man. Maybe some sort of magic lock or something. I'm saving any actual theories for a different video. Speaking of a different video, go watch my Mario Odyssey review after this. I spent a long time on it. Please go do the do of seeing, or else I'll find you. I do know where you live. It's the internet. While Bowser's committing acts of terrorism, we begin to see a kind of golden glow emanate from the flames. This could be the fire itself, because it, you know, kinda tends to glow, but I don't know, it just looks a tad off to be that, which is why I think it's what we see in the next scene. Yes, the Power Star. And when I say the Power Star, I mean the Power Star. As pointed out by famous YouTuber Pixeled Fart, this could be the big one you get from Bowser at the end of Mario 64. Hence why Bowser is enamored by the power of this one specifically. It wouldn't exactly make much sense for him to be excited over a normal Power Star, as there's 120 of those in Mario 64, 121 in Galaxy, and if you want to include moons as being on the same level of power as stars, then there's just billions of those. Now, the film could be creating its own lore here, where the Power Stars are much more rarer things, but I want to pretend that it is the Power Star from Super Mario 64 because, hey, that's cool, it makes them look like they've read up and they've done their research, they've fit in the lore bits. Oh, also, where is this exactly? It would definitely seem to be the Snowy City place, based off the order of the clips, but it very well might not be. As already said, they do shift around clips to make things seem like this or like that so they don't spoil stuff, so it wouldn't be out of the question for this to be an entirely different location. See, it just doesn't make sense to me that this group of weak plongos are guarding such a powerful item. The background sadly doesn't give us any clues as it's literally nothing. And despite that, it's still an incredibly good looking shot. That's just how well of a job Illumination have done here with the animation and the actual looks and effects of the film. Also, small thing to note here, but I like how the kind of green scales of Bowser's face slowly transition into the yellow ones on his shoulders. Good touch. Oh god. It's Mario in time. Strangely enough, they use the Super Mario Bros. Super Show iteration of 1-1 theme here, which makes it a slightly tiniest bit more possible for us to see the Do the Mario in the film. Legitimately, the only circumstance where a dance scene ending would be fine is if it's to that. For the first 2-ish frames here, we can see Mario doing his classic jump pose. I have to admit, I do quite like that. It's a very good little reference the animators have snuck in. In the direct, which I know I'm not really going to be talking about much in this video, but I'm still going to bring this up here, they did say that a huge number of the people who worked on this are fans of Mario, so you're going to see a lot of these tiny little references snuck about the film. It's going to be the type of thing where when it appears on Blu-ray or a streaming service or god knows what, you'll want to buy it and just keep pausing to see the little frames. The pipe appears to be emanating some sort of blue energy, which we usually don't see from the pipes, which you should know, you've probably played a couple of the games or watched a couple of the games. This makes me think that's going to have a lot more power than normal pipes, probably because it's the thing that takes Mario from the real world to the funny video game world. We can see a good amount of squash and stretch being used here, and honestly, I'm a big fan of that. Even if it means you get horrific frames like this one. Why is he so long? He looks like he had the weird mushroom. Okay, we can see a lot of different things here. First of all, the mushrooms. We got red and blue and a variety of different heights. I'm a big fan of this, as the location is called, you know, the Mushroom Kingdom. You'd think there'd be a couple of those hanging about other than the living ones. Glad to see they deviated from the games there instead of having the area be a barren wasteland of grass and a tree every once in a while. Off in the background, we can see a floating island. These are seen throughout the trailer, and I do like their inclusion. Mostly because it reminds me of Terraria. I can't really think of any examples of there being proper floating islands in Mario other than like the World 7 levels in a couple of the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Oh, also, can you just take a moment to appreciate how detailed these mushrooms are? Little imperfections and the fact that the spots aren't just random colored circles and actually dip into the cap are really, really good touches. We get a good look at the area around the pipe Mario came out of here, and it's really interesting. The fancy brickwork and star sigil thing paints us as an area of importance. Or rather, paints it as an area that used to have some moniker of importance, as by the looks of the moss and the lack of traffic, the area has likely been forgotten by most. I want you to pay particular attention to the star symbol here. With the power star from earlier being such a powerful artifact and this pipe probably being capable of interworld travel, it's likely that the two share some sort of relation to each other. Perhaps the ancient rulers of the Mushroom Kingdom, or some kind of long-forgotten race from a dead kingdom, built this. I don't know. We also see the symbol on top of the gate of the Snow City, which shows that there is a link between it and the star, either because that's where the star is actually located, or because it holds a key or something that is needed to unlock a vault where the thing is truly being hidden. Maybe the vault works like the Dark Star, where you need the actual princess herself, or in this case, all of the royals, I presume, to unlock it. Hence why Bowser is bothering to kidnap the king at all. As I said earlier, we do not know how much this movie is going to link into the games when it comes to lore, or how much of its own it will create. So they very well could be setting something up here, but once again, I think that is best saved for another video. Oh. This close-up of Mario's corpse allows us to see a lot more of the smaller details, both of the man himself and the area around him. First of all, the grass is insanely detailed, and the little flowers all about the place definitely add to the whole ambience. We see the mushrooms down here are also incredibly detailed, just like the big ones. There also appears to be butterflies, which is cool. These have primarily only been seen in 3D platformer mainline thingy games, we need a better name for that, but have probably shown up in some of the other series. Wiggler doesn't count. The yellow one that goes by Mario Head is thought to be a Mario Galaxy reference, but I doubt it is. Though at the same time, it's a perfectly small reference to fit in, so I do see where people are coming from, and honestly, I would like it if that were the case. It's one of those perfect things that an animator could slip in without having to get any permission from the boss or from Nintendo or anything to do. On to the man himself now, and we can see that he has laced shoes, just like Luigi in Lucky Mansion 1. His sideburns have that weird butt shape at the end of them, and his ears look pretty similar to how they do in the games. So far, it's looking good. And there it is, folks, another sad Mario image. Can't wait for literally every single news article to use this whenever something bad happens with the film, or just Nintendo in general. And the annoying part of Mario's design here is his eyes. They're far too circular. Ever since, Christ, I want to say the original Super Mario Bros., Mario's had quite oval eyes, so I really do not know why they've changed that here. They've also changed the eyebrows, make them less N-shaped and more flat. Another good look at the pipe place, PP if you will. There's nothing new to discuss here, just wanted to show you the better view. We see some more floating islands, a rainbow, and most importantly of all, a castle. The staple of 2D Mario games, these are commonly seen at the end of levels. They appear to be built out of the same thing as the PP place, but that doesn't really surprise me as bricks are more common than my nan. I have a couple of theories what those could be, but I'll saves it. Some of the mushrooms look yellow here, but that very well could be a trick of the lighting. I don't know, because you have other ones that are in the light that all look very much normal and red colored, while these ones look yellow, so it could be yellow mushrooms, but I'm just pretty sure they're red. And besides, having a third color of mushroom doesn't really change all too much. The design of the birds here look a lot like the ones from 3D Land. Yes, I know birds are in real life, unlike you plebeians, I have touched grass, but the color and shape of them is the very reminiscent to what I just said. Rivers exist. They got Cheeps in them. That's cool. Wait a minute, he looks fine here. Why is he changing so much? Mario looks like a cat here to me in this scene, which, thinking a 3D world, is honestly quite fitting. A lot of smear frames and squash and stretch him is used here, but I'm still, shockingly, fine with this. Right, Toad looks really weird. No, not quite bad, but definitely weird. I think it's the eyes, honestly. It hasn't been apparent as much until now, except for some of the N64 games, but his eyes are just reflective voids. But they could have changed that, and people would have been annoyed, so they took the lesser of two evils, while still making Toad look incredibly evil.
Oh, I'm sorry. That one's perfectly fine.
Another joke, this one is pretty decent. As long as they stick to this kind of humor plus the slapstick illumination is well known for, I think the film will be just perfect. In that area at least. There's still a lot more to film than the joke. Okay, Reed, he looks literally perfect here. Why is the accuracy of the model all over the place, man? Half the time it looks like just off enough to be annoying, and the other half it's a more detailed version of Odyssey's. Look, hopefully the film's primarily the latter, but seriously, can we just stick to this one instead of flipping back and forth so much?
Come on, Mario!
We see the yellowy looking mushrooms again, and yeah, no, I'm definitely thinking that they are yellow and not just weird looking red ones. Though hey, I could be wrong. This scene probably takes place a little bit after the previous one, as Mario is a lot more calm and aware of his surroundings now. And the fact that the next scene he says, "Mushroom Kingdom, here we come," shows that he's been given some sort of exposition dump on the area around him and why he's here and this and that and whatnot. Okay, there is a fair bit to discuss here. Firstly, we can see Peach's Castle and, presumably, Toad Town with the same design we saw in the teaser image. We can see a bit more of Peach's Castle, and honestly I'm not a fan with the lack of bottom situation it's got going on here. It's not overly annoying, but I'm not too big a fan of the change. Other than that, it is, pretty much the exact same as it is in the games. The various mountains dotted about the place share the same shape as the ones from Super Mario World, albeit with a bit more of a realistic design, once more confirming that the team has done at least some of their homework. However, we won't be able to tell if they've done Question 3B, Exercise 2, Part 3, till we see another trailer. There's a path leading off to what looks like a farm on the left side. This could theoretically be Moo Moo Meadows, but that's more so a livestock farm, so it probably isn't. We then get an epic rendition of the 1-1 theme while the title slowly fades in. Well, I'll give them that. It is quite a simple title. Simple enough to be forgotten by everyone, so people are just gonna call it the Mario movie. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting from the title, really. They weren't gonna call it Mario Begins or something like that, but still I expected something a little bit different. Also, they really seem to be placing an emphasis on the whole Nintendo Plus illumination here. Like, they really want fans to know that they aren't gonna mess us up, or at least they're trying not to mess us up. We've known that Nintendo has played a big hand in the production of this film for a while now, but it seems like they want to remind us that every chance they can get. One thing that definitely is weird though is the fact that it's called the Super Mario Bros. Movie, yet we only see Mario. You'd really expect that, there he is, baby Luigi! Similar to the first Luigi's Mansion, he appears to be in a dead forest. However, unlike the first Luigi's Mansion, Lunkus over here is being hunted down by dry bones. I have to admit, I love how feral these things are acting. It makes sense because they are dead. We see Luigi running to a very likely abandoned castle with a tiny amount of lava surrounding it. This could perhaps be another structure built by some sort of predecessor race, or maybe one of Bowser's old castles. Either or. The flag on top, which I can't quite get a good look at, definitely seems to be one of the Bowser ones though, so it very likely could just be one of his old abandoned castles. Why he abandoned it, we may never know. And that's it. Pretty good trailer, all things considered. Score is fine, animation was godly, and jokes are pretty decent. Now, this isn't everything in the direct. I still need to discuss the voices and stuff said before the trailer. However, with how long this video is already, I think I'll just talk about the voices before ending it. Of the main cast, sorry Prangone, we got to hear 5 of the voices, so let's discuss them.
Behold, the king of the Koopas!
The voice of Kamek is a perfect fit. Despite only hearing one line, I can tell that the voice is going to be a pretty good one.
Open the gates! I do not.
Our first time hearing Bowser's voice, and yeah, it's perfect. From the couple lines we see in the trailer, it sounds consistent the whole way through, even if, whenever it's a longer sentence, we hear Jack Black trying to crawl his way out, but honestly, that just adds to it for me. Jack Black is just a naturally funny sounding guy, and when you mix that in with Bowser, a character who is incredibly menacing while also being incredibly funny, it works well. Also, as I said earlier, the way they make Bowser's face move in the same way that Jack Black's does is very good. Oh god, here comes a divisive opinion.
What is this place? Mushroom Kingdom, here we come!
I think the voice of Mario is a good fit. Yes, I agree that except for the last line, Chris Pratt sounds just identical to how he normally does. And yes, I agree that whenever he does use a proper accent, it sounds like Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers. And yes, I agree that it doesn't beat his voice in the normal games, but it's not exactly like it's trying to. This film is all but confirmed to be an origin story now. Giving Mario such a wacky voice would kind of clash hard with him in the more realistic setting we are likely to find him in at the start. More than likely, throughout the course of the film, he will slowly turn more so into the Mario we know, but whether or not that's a good or a bad thing is entirely up for debate.
Do not touch that mushroom, you'll die! Oh, I'm sorry. That one's perfectly fine. Come on, Mario!
Toad is a very interesting one here. Similar to Mario, he's got a very well-defined voice.
What's this icky paint like goo?
Great impression, I know. But unlike Mario, people seem to be entirely fine with the changes they've made to it. This entirely makes sense, though, as an hour or two of hearing, well, that would probably be very painful for literally everyone involved. Especially the guy voicing him. It's because that tone impression I'm trying to wrap up the video quickly now. And finally, Luigi. We only hear him screaming, but yeah, it sounds spot on. His voice could still be bad, but honestly, looking into the roles Charles Daly has been in, he should be more than capable of pulling off Luigi. And that's it for now. As I subtly hinted out throughout the video, I plan to make a fair bit more talking about this thing. From additional info, to theories, to more theories, I am gonna milk this trailer god, so help me dry. Mainly because I do want to kind of take a break after the big Mario Odyssey review, which you can watch right now, and talking about random stuff that comes to mind when looking at Mario is a good way of doing so. Oh, by the way, thanks to Pixel Heart and I'm So Random, they were the ones that joined me on the stream the other day, and without them I probably would have noticed as many things or had somebody to bounce ideas off of. And with that, it's the end of this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed or want to come back to it at some point so you can say, oh, he was right about a series, or, idiot. Please comment some things that you thought about the trailer. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you hate me? Are your ears bleeding from the toad impression? I hope they are. I left it in just for you. And subscribe if you've watched a couple, or if you want to see me talk about the Mario movie more, since that's what this channel is. I mean, that's what brought the people coming in, so you might as well give them more of what they want, eh? Alright, that's it, bye-bye.